Good morning, dear students. So, let's begin our class with a silent prayer. Okay, how are you all? I hope you all are fine. We all are affected by the COVID-19 pandemic situation. But don't worry, let's hope that everything will be okay soon. Okay. So, before moving on to the class, let me show you a collage. Okay, the collage consists of some newspaper clippings. I want every one of you to observe it very carefully, and based on your observation, I will be asking you some questions. Okay, now let me show you the collage. I hope you clearly observed the collage. And what did you understand as a common issue in these newspaper clippings? Yes, it's all about some consumers filing complaints against the producers or sellers or some service providers against some defective products or providing some bad quality services. And why do you think these issues are happening? Yes, it's because earlier the situation was like, let the buyers be aware. What does it mean? That means if you buy a product or if you avail a service, it is the responsibility of you to be completely aware about that particular product or service. And if the product is defective or if the service is of bad quality, the seller will not be responsible for it. And ultimately, we have to bear the loss. So, do you think as a consumer, we require some protection and rights against the exploitation of this kind of defective products and services? Yes. And it is because of this reason the government has enacted a law which is called as the Consumer Protection Act 1986. Then, what is Consumer Protection Act 1986? Let's see it.
The Consumer Protection Act 1986 seeks to protect and promote the interest of consumers. The Act provides safeguard against defective goods, deficient services, unfair trade practices, and other forms of exploitation. The Act provides for the setting up of a three-tier machinery consisting of district forums, state commission, and national commission.
അതായത് ഉപഭോക്താക്കളുടെ താൽപ്പര്യങ്ങൾ സംരക്ഷിക്കുന്നതിനും പ്രോത്സാഹിപ്പിക്കുന്നതിനും അതേപോലെ തന്നെ അവരുടെ പരാതികൾ എളുപ്പത്തിലും ചെലവ് കുറഞ്ഞ രീതിയിലും പരിഹരിച്ചു കിട്ടുന്നതിനുള്ള ഒരു നിയമമാണ് ഉപഭോക്തൃ സംരക്ഷണ നിയമം അഥവാ കൺസ്യൂമർ പ്രൊട്ടക്ഷൻ ആക്ട് 1986. So, being a citizen of India, we enjoy some rights. What are these rights called as? Yes, very good. They are known as the fundamental rights. Then, similarly, as consumers, we enjoy some rights. And can you guess what are these rights called as? Yes, they are known as the consumer protection rights. We have 6 consumer protection rights and we will be seeing it one by one. Before that, let me give you a case study. You may please read and listen carefully. And after which, I will be asking you some questions.
Jayashree Pillai, a political science professor at the University of Delhi, bought a Jaysir. She did so trusting the BIS ISI stamp on the product and the manufacturer. The Jaysir, however, exploded immediately after installation, putting her family and the electrician at risk.
I hope you understand the case. And now let me ask you some questions. What does the Jayashree bought from the seller? Yes, she bought a Jaysir. And in what trust she bought it from the seller? Yes, it holds the BIS ISI stamp. And what happened after immediately putting the Jaysir into installation? Yes, it exploded. Then did the product which she bought has risked her life and her family? Yes, we have seen that immediately after the installation, the Jaysir exploded, putting her family and the electrician at risk. So in this case, you can see that it's affecting the safety of their life and health. Because of this reason, the Consumer Protection Act gave us the first consumer right, which is known as the right to safety. So what is right to safety? Let's say it.
The consumer has a right to be protected against goods and services which are hazardous to life and health.
അതായത് ജീവനും ആരോഗ്യത്തിനും ഹാനികരമായ ഉൽപ്പന്നങ്ങളിൽ നിന്നും സേവനങ്ങളിൽ നിന്നുമുള്ള സംരക്ഷണം ഓരോ ഉപഭോക്താവിൻ്റെയും അവകാശമാണ്. ഇതിനെയാണ് നമ്മൾ സുരക്ഷിതത്വത്തിനുള്ള അവകാശം അല്ലെങ്കിൽ റൈറ്റ് ടു സേഫ്റ്റി എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. ഓക്കെ, now let me ask you some questions. What are the various information which you seek before buying a product? Yes, very good. It consists of, you look for its price, then ingredients, then date of manufacture, expiry, etc. Yes, what all answers you are said is correct. And I will show you a picture and let's cross check whether what you have said is right or not. Okay, now let's see the picture. So what do you see in this picture? Yes, it was a label of a particular product. And in this label you have seen there are a number of information provided which you have said earlier, like the price, date of manufacture, date of expiry, ingredients, everything is given. And why do you think the producers or the manufacturers are giving this information in a label? Yes, it is because it is a right of a consumer or buyer to have the complete information about a particular product which he intends to buy. This is known as the right to be informed. Now let's see it in detail.
The consumer has a right to have complete information about the product he intends to buy, including its ingredients, date of manufacture, price, quantity, directions for use, etc. It is because of this reason that the legal framework in India requires the manufacturers to provide such information on the package and label of the product.
അതായത് ഉപഭോക്താവ് വാങ്ങാൻ ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്ന ഉൽപ്പന്നത്തിന്റെ എല്ലാ വിവരങ്ങളും, അതായത് അതിന്റെ വില, അത് ഉൽപ്പാദിപ്പിച്ച തീയതി, അതിൽ ഉൾപ്പെടുത്തിയിരിക്കുന്ന പദാർത്ഥങ്ങൾ, അതേപോലെ അത് ഉപയോഗിക്കേണ്ട വിധം, എങ്ങനെയുള്ള എല്ലാ വിവരങ്ങളും അറിയാനുള്ള അവകാശം ഓരോ ഉപഭോക്താവിനുമുണ്ട്. ഈ അവകാശത്തെയാണ് നമ്മൾ അറിയാനുള്ള അവകാശം അല്ലെങ്കിൽ റൈറ്റ് ടു ബി ഇൻഫോംഡ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. ഓക്കെ, നൗ ലെറ്റ്സ് സീ one more case study. Please listen it very carefully, after which I'll be asking him some questions. Okay.
Abhirami, a student of Ansari Nagar, joined a 2-year course at a local coaching institute for professional course in New Delhi. At the time of joining the course, she paid the fees of rupees 61,020 as a lump sum for the entire course of 2 years. However, she decided to opt out of the course at the end of 1 year as she found that the quality of teaching was not up to the mark. When she asked for a refund of the fee for 1 year, it was denied to her. When she filed the case in the District Consumer Court, the court directed the institute to refund rupees 28,000, saying that she had the right to choose.
I hope you understand the case study. Now let me ask you some questions. For what purpose did Abhirami pay the fees? Yes, she paid the fees for a local coaching institute for a professional course. How much amount she paid? Yes, she paid an amount of 61,020 for 2 years. And what happened after 2 years? Yes, very right. After 1 year, she come to know that the teaching service which it is provided is not up to the quality. So she decided to drop out. And then what did she do? She asked for a refund. And did the institute allow the refund? Yes, no. Then what did she do? She went to a district court to file a complaint. And then what did the court order? The court ordered that she had the right to choose whether to continue the service. So, in this case, since she decided to drop out after 1 year, she had the right to get back half of the amount, or rupees 28,000. So, in this case, you identify that every consumer has got the right to choose from a variety of products available in the market, or he or she can decide whether to continue with the service which she is already availing of. This right is known as the right to choose.
Any consumer who receives a service in whatever capacity, regardless of age, gender, and nature of service, has a right to choose whether to continue the service. Also, marketers should offer a wide variety of products in terms of quality, brand, prices, size, etc., and allow the consumer to make a choice from amongst these.
അതായത് വിപണിയിൽ ലഭ്യമായിട്ടുള്ള വിവിധ തരം ഉൽപ്പന്നങ്ങളിൽ നിന്ന് നമുക്ക് ഇഷ്ടമുള്ള തിരഞ്ഞെടുക്കാനുള്ള അവകാശം ഓരോ ഉപഭോക്താവിനും ഉണ്ട്. ഈ അവകാശത്തെയാണ് നമ്മൾ എന്ത് പറയുന്നത്? തിരഞ്ഞെടുക്കാനുള്ള അവകാശം, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ റൈറ്റ് ടു ചൂസ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. ഓക്കെ, റൈറ്റ് ടു ചൂസ് എന്താണെന്ന് മനസ്സിലായി വിശ്വസിക്കുകയാണ്. Now, let me ask you some more questions. Have you heard of toll-free numbers? Yes. Where do you have seen it? Yes, you might have seen it in the label of number of products. And have you made any calls to it? Okay, some of you have made it, some of you have not made it. And let me know for what purpose these toll-free numbers are given. Yes, very good. It is given because sometimes the consumers have to make some enquiries about a particular product, or sometimes they have some complaint about the product, for which they will make the calls. In fact, this is actually a right of a consumer. That is, the right to be heard for various complaints that the consumer is asking to the producer or the manufacturer. It is known as the right to be heard. Let's see it in detail.
The consumer has a right to file a complaint and to be heard in case of dissatisfaction with a good or service. It is because of this reason that many enlightened business firms have set up their own consumer service and grievance cells.
അതായത് ഏതൊരു ഉപഭോക്താവിനും അയാൾ വാങ്ങിയ ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരു സാധനത്തിന്റെ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരു സേവനങ്ങളുടെ കാര്യത്തിൽ എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒരു അതൃപ്തി ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അത് പരാതിപ്പെടാനുള്ള അവകാശമുണ്ട്. അതിനെയാണ് നമ്മൾ പരാതിപ്പെടാനുള്ള അവകാശം അല്ലെങ്കിൽ റൈറ്റ് ടു ബി ഹേർഡ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. ഓക്കെ, ഐ ഹോപ്പ് യു ഓൾ ലവ് ടു ഹിയർ സം സ്റ്റോറീസ്, isn't it? Okay, now let's listen to one story.
Prakash goes to the post office to send money order to his daughter, and later on he comes to know that the money has not reached his daughter. He then inquires about the money order in the post office, but he didn't get a satisfied response for his query. He then went to the local consumer protection for advice and then filed a case in the consumer court. The court sends notice to the other party. Prakash himself pleads the case in the court. The court judge verifies the documents and hears the arguments of both the parties and then announces the court verdict to give him adequate compensation.
Okay, all of you listen to the story, isn't it? Okay, then let me ask you some questions. Why did Prakash went to the post office? Yes, he went to the post office to send a money order to his daughter. Then does the money order reach time to his daughter? Yes, no, it doesn't reach to his daughter. Then what did he do with this issue? Okay, first he went to the post office and inquired about it. Then does he get a satisfied reply from the post office? No. Then what did he do? He went to the consumer court and filed a case. And what the court do? The court called the other party also. He heard. The judge heard both the arguments, both the parties' arguments, and finally he made an order. And what was that order? He must be paid. That is, the Prakash must be paid compensation. So, in this case, what did you understand? That is, if any consumer suffers any loss or have any complaints, he must get adequate compensation for the same. Either he must get a new product, that means an old product must be replaced by a good new product, or he must get a compensation for the same. This right is known as the right to seek redressal.
The consumer has a right to get relief in case the product or service falls short of his expectations. It may include replacement of the product, removal of defect in the product, compensation paid for any loss or injury suffered by the consumer, etc.
അതായത് ഏതൊരു ഉപഭോക്താവിനും അദ്ദേഹം വാങ്ങിയ ഉൽപ്പന്നത്തെക്കുറിച്ചോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ലഭിച്ച സേവനത്തെക്കുറിച്ചോ എന്തെങ്കിലും പരാതി ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അത് പരിഹരിച്ചു കിട്ടുന്നതിനുള്ള അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ അവകാശത്തെയാണ് നമ്മൾ പരാതി പരിഹാരത്തിനുള്ള അവകാശം അല്ലെങ്കിൽ റൈറ്റ് ടു സീക്ക് റിഡ്രസൽ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. So I hope you got a clear picture about this right, that is the right to seek redressal. Okay, now I will show you some posters. So after carefully observing the posters, let me know what these posters communicate to us. I hope you can understand that particular theme. After watching the posters, I will ask you the question, that is, what does these posters communicate to us? Okay, let's watch the posters. So you read out the posters, right? So now tell me, what does these posters communicate to us? Yes, these posters are all about creating awareness about our consumer rights. Now, you come to my class and I teach you about various consumer rights, isn't it? And you come to know about all your Consumer Protection Act, your consumer rights, everything. Then what about other people who cannot come to school or who are elderly people who cannot access to school and all? What about such people? They also must be aware about these rights, isn't it? Yes, it is because of this reason the government and various organizations are taking various initiatives to make or to create awareness among various consumers about their consumer rights. This is a right. This is a right actually, which is known as the right to consumer education.
The consumer has a right to acquire knowledge and to be a well-informed consumer throughout life. He should be aware about his rights and the reliefs available to him in case of a product or service falling short of his expectations.
അതായത് ജീവിതകാലം മുഴുവൻ ഒരു നല്ല ഉപഭോക്താവായി ആയിരിക്കാൻ വേണ്ട അറിവ് നേടുവാനുള്ള അവകാശം ഓരോ ഉപഭോക്താവിനുമുണ്ട്. ഈ അവകാശത്തെയാണ് ഉപഭോക്തൃ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസത്തിനുള്ള അവകാശം അല്ലെങ്കിൽ റൈറ്റ് ടു കൺസ്യൂമർ എഡ്യൂക്കേഷൻ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. Dear students, in today's class, we have learned about the Consumer Protection Act and 6 consumer rights. So what is Consumer Protection Act? It helps the consumers to protect their interest through speedy and inexpensive redressal of their grievances. Then we have learned about consumer rights. First one is right to safety, which help us to protect our life and health from goods and services which are hazardous to our life. The right to be informed, which help us to gather all the information about a particular product or service which we intend to buy. Then right to choose help us to choose from variety of products available in the market at competitive prices. Then right to be heard help us to file a complaint and to be heard in case of any dissatisfaction with a product or service. The right to seek redressal help us to get relief for any defective products or of any product which falls short of our expectation. Then the last one, that is right to consumer education, help us to gather all the knowledge to become a well-informed consumer throughout our life. So now I will give you a handout. It consists of 2 cases. So please read it by yourself now. So I hope you go through both the cases which I have given in the handout, and when you go home, try to read out the portions which we have learned today and try to identify the consumer rights which are violated in the cases which I have given in the handout. So that's the end of our today's class. Thank you.